The field hockey squad takes down a team in historic fashion, and tennis turns things around. Hello, I'm Jake Smolinski.
And I'm Cody Barr, and you're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine. Welcome. We've got a great show for you today as Eddie Dunn will be joining us for the latest edition of Exploring Headlines. And later, Tim Durrani prepares you for some LaSalle sports action with his SportsLine debut in marquee matchup.
That's right, Cody. But first, let's catch up on what went down this past week for the fall athletes. The women's volleyball team traveled all the way up to Kingston, Rhode Island on Friday, October 3rd to take on the Rhode Island Rams. The first set was rough for the Explorers as the Rams allowed them only 5 kills in the frame while tallying 21 digs of their own. URI won the set 25-11. In set 2, LaSalle put up a fight, jumping out to an early 6-2 lead. However, back and forth action for the rest of the set wasn't enough for the Explorers as they lost set 2, 30-28. Unfortunately, the end result of set 3 was no different, with LaSalle dropping it to the Rams 25-22. Kelly Perillo finished with 8 kills in the team's 7th consecutive loss.
The Explorers look to bounce back the following night in New York, to take on the Rams of Fordham University. Leading 24-21 in the first set, the Explorers had 3 set-point opportunities that they failed to capitalize on, allowing the Rams to tally 5 straight points and win 26-24. In set 2, Fordham maintained the lead the entire way through, winning by a score of 25-21. After the break between sets, Fordham looked to close things out quickly, and that's exactly what they did. Coming into the match with a 0-16 record, the Rams pick up their first victory of the season after a decisive third set. They took 25-14. LaSalle now sits at 6-14 on the year with a 0-4 record in conference play.
On the cold and rainy morning this past Saturday, the women's cross-country team traveled to Lehigh University for the annual Paul Short Invitational, one of the biggest of the year, and bring in teams from all across the country, like Alabama and California. The women were up against tough competitors, totaling a field of 329 runners. Despite the pressure, the women did not disappoint. Freshman Morgan Zeckley paced the Explorers, finishing in 20th place in the 6K with a time of 20 minutes and 35 seconds. Next in line was fellow freshman Megan Connell, who crossed the line in 21 minutes and 4 seconds, placing 37th overall. Senior Molly Mickle was not far behind as she ran a time of 22 minutes and 13 seconds, which is 30 seconds faster than her time at the last Invitational last year. The women were able to take 15th place overall out of 38 teams.
The LaSalle men's team also raced in the Paul Short Invitational, taking on tough competition and finishing with a tie for 21st place overall out of 42 teams. The blue and gold beat out UPenn, Mississippi State, and Harvard, to name a few. Ben Pershaw paced the Explorers and came in 97th place with a time of 25 minutes and 14 seconds. Close behind was freshman Chris Berry with a time of 25 minutes and 17 seconds. Good for 100th place.
And from the course to the court, the men's tennis started their weekend off rough, losing to Chestnut Hill 2-5 on Friday, October 3rd. However, adjustments were made 2 days later on Sunday as men's tennis finally scored a win against St. Peter's, breaking their 4-match losing streak. The day started off bleak with LaSalle dropping the first 2 doubles matches, but later, senior Deshaun Fennell dominated in singles against the top player from St. Peter's in back-to-back sets, 6-2 and 6-4. Sophomore Mark Robinson followed Fennell's lead and secured a 3-set win. Tom McLeod snagged a win in his 3rd set, then Brian Balico and Dal Fetterman dropped their singles matches. This left the 2 teams deadlocked with a score of 3-3. The fate of the match was left in senior Andrew O'Connell's hands in the singles 6th position. The entire team was riding on his back as the match went into 5 sets. O'Connell dug deep and pulled out a narrow win in the final set to clinch the win 4-3 for the tennis team.
On Monday, October 6th, the women's tennis team won a close match against Monmouth University by a score of 4-3. LaSalle swept in doubles play to take the lead first in the matchup. Contributing for LaSalle in doubles play was freshman Jade Smith and redshirt senior Caitlin Coelho. They finished their doubles match with a commanding 8-0 win. Senior Celesta Smith and freshman Alexandra Santorelli won a close doubles match that ended 8-7. Helping LaSalle in singles play was freshman Layla Smith, who won her match after getting a 10-3 victory in set 3. Hopping across 20th Street, the women's soccer team opened up A10 play on Friday. We sent it over to Jake, who caught the matchup at McCarthy Stadium.
Coming off of last year with the A10 championship title, the women's soccer team has a lot of pressure to stay on top. However, on Friday, October 3rd, LaSalle took on their first A10 opponent of the year, George Washington. A powerhouse team who was ousted in the first round of the playoffs by the Explorers last year, they came to McCarthy Stadium looking to make a statement. However, that statement was trampled underneath the Explorers' front line, led by senior Kelsey Haycock, by the 4th minute of play. Haycock tore through the defense to score on a cross assisted by Hunter Filippo and Anna Dolhansky to leave the Colonials trying to catch up for the rest of the game. But with rock-solid defense led by goalkeeper Jessica Wiggins, George Washington simply couldn't get anything moving. The Explorer midfield gummed up play for the Colonials, and LaSalle easily dominated the control over the ball. Then, following up in the 50th minute, Haycock scored her second goal of the game, soon followed by freshman Kristen Hogstad knocking in a header at the 69th minute. The weight of the lead really started to take its toll on the George Washington team, and the Explorers pummeled their defense until the clock ran out. With this 3-0 victory, Wiggins had her third shutout of the season with 6 saves while only taking 9 shots in the night. The Explorers also managed to devastate the George Washington goalie, taking 15 shots on net. So with this initial win, we're currently undefeated in the league. So if this is any indication of how the rest of A10 play is going to be this year, it looks like the Explorers are going to be the team to beat.
Thanks, Jake. Hoping to follow the ladies' lead, the men's soccer team hosted the Blackbirds of LIU Brooklyn on Saturday, October 4th. Similar to their match against Manhattan from a week ago, the Explorers battled for the full 90 minutes of regulation, but it ended in no payoff. This sent the two teams into an overtime session. Only 4 minutes passed, however, before the Explorers scored the golden goal. Pat Sullivan was fouled in the box on a play that set up LaSalle penalty kick. Coach Pat Farrell chose sophomore Matt Robinson, to take the kick, and his choice paid off big as Robinson cashed in on the chance and won for the team.
And hoping to continue their undefeated record at home, the field hockey team welcomed Virginia Commonwealth University to Dave Vincent Field in conference throwdown. The two competitors battled back and forth for much of the half. Freshman Kendall Kreider struck first as she capitalized on a shot by junior Emily Vassie. Kreider gathered the ball and slipped it past the VCU keeper to give LaSalle the lead into the half. After the intermission, the Explorers continued to dominate. Kreider took the victory in her own hands as she recorded the insurance goal in the 52nd minute. She controlled a pass by Sophie Lazowski, entered the circle, and drilled a rocket to give LaSalle the 2-goal advantage. VCU avoided the shutout 5 minutes later, but were unable to overcome LaSalle. Goalie Rachel Hartman recorded 6 saves on the game. And following the 2-1 victory over VCU, the Explorers took to Dave Vincent Field again on Sunday. Cody has the cover of the historic meeting.
With their 13th consecutive losses to Richmond University looming in the air, the Explorers took to Vincent Field on Sunday. The Richmond Spiders entered the game undefeated in the Atlantic 10 Conference. Back-and-forth play defined the first half as neither team was able to convert aggressive offensive play into a goal. Less than a minute until the whistle signifying the end of the half, Richmond slipped the ball past keeper Rachel Hartman. LaSalle wasn't concerned, however. They've had 2 come-from-behind victories already this season and are no stranger to overcoming a deficit. In the 40th minute, LaSalle capitalized on a penalty corner. Senior captain Maddie Tettelbach gathered the ball and pushed it past the Richmond goalie to even up the score at 1. As overtime play inched closer, the Explorers put the nail in the coffin and ended 13 years of bad luck against the Spiders with less than 3 minutes on the clock. Tettelbach took the fate of the game into her own hands as she drew the corner that led to her second goal of the game.
Maddie played very well. We were able to get the ball into her at the defensive center mid position, and she created a lot of opportunities, whether she was in the outlet or if she was in the press. She got the ball up to the forward. She did a really nice job of receiving and releasing and creating a lot of opportunities for us. And then obviously, she got 2 goals today, so she was able to convert off of the opportunities that she was creating for herself.
Fellow senior Olivia Lehman was credited with the assist that enabled LaSalle to remain undefeated at home and take the top spot in the Atlantic 10 Conference standings. Goalkeeper Rachel Hartman continued to assert her poise and dominance, recording 11 saves, sending her into 2nd place in the nation in save percentage and 6th place in saves per game.
Rachel played a great game as well. I think that, she's showing a lot of poise, especially for, the inexperience that she has.
With the win against Richmond University, LaSalle remains undefeated at home.
This was the best warm-up, full 70 minutes. That was a huge win. I don't know when the last time we beat Richmond. It was great for the program. It's great for our season. It's great for these players. The intensity, the heart, just the determination, just the focus from the beginning. As soon as they stepped on the field, that really carried over to today's game.
Thanks, Cody. Switching from the turf to the water, this past weekend, the men's and women's rowing teams opened up their fall season. They took their paddles to State College to compete against Penn State and Susquehanna. The Explorers men's B-boat, consisting of coxswain Grant Maddock and rowers Jake Fable, Kieran Hughes, Zach Labarth, Harrison Gargle, Kyle Adams, Brendan Mason, Waleed Omar, and Chris Walls sailed to a win, passing Penn State's A-boat by 6 seconds. The Explorers men's A-boat finished third with a time of 14:19, followed by the C-boat at 14:42.
The Lady Explorers B-boat had clear sailing as well at Happy Valley as they captured the win past Penn State. The winning boat consisted of coxswain Katie Reyes, along with Carly Libby, Tara Polhansky, Amanda Ryan, Cora Jones, Catherine Goldschmidt, Kirsten Kirschbaumer, Amanda Schwartz, and Sophia Ion-Canelli. LaSalle's A-boat finished third behind Penn State's A with a time of 17:19.
And from the water to the greens, the men's golf had the week off from competition, so we decided to bring standout PJ Asierno into the studio to sit down with Tommy McIntyre to talk about the team and his goals for the rest of the year. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Tom McIntyre, and welcome to another edition of On the Sidelines. I'm here today with PJ Asierno of the men's golf team. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. So let's get right into it. So far this year, you guys have had 3 tournaments so far, last being the George Mason Intercollegiate. How's the season been going so far for you guys?
The tournaments are going smoothly. The first one we started off a little slow, but I feel like we're all getting our game in a pretty good place coming up here for the Big 5 tournament this weekend.
That's good. That's good. So last tournament, the George Mason, which I just said, do you guys have like a friendly competition between your other players? Because I know Joe Markman and Greg Rivers had a really nice tournament. Joe Markman's doing good all year. He's a sophomore. So do you guys always have like a friendly competition, try to battle each other, even though you're on the same team?
Yeah, in practices we'll be playing with each other in either 3-sums or 4-sums, and we'll do some sort of just match within the groups and just compete every day.
That's good. That's great. So a little more personal. So you were recently, after the Rutgers Invitational, A10 Conference Golfer of the Week. That was what you had, the second lowest 50-hole score in program history. What does it feel to get that honor?
It was really special. I didn't expect it, but it was great to be honored like that. There's plenty of great golfers in the A10, and it was a special honor.
So something I always found interesting, because I actually do the script for SportsLine on the golf team, is that you're actually a redshirt sophomore, but you would think that you were out your first year freshman year, but you were actually out all last year. What is the reasoning behind that?
I didn't come to play in the beginning of last year. I wasn't really prepared. I was having a few swing changes, but I started off a little slow. My game wasn't where it needed to be, and the qualifiers were really competitive. I missed a few of the first ones, and didn't want to burn a whole year eligibility with such a good part of the season, having already missed.
So was that something you talked with your parents or coaches about, like what decision you're going to make?
Yeah, I had a couple meetings with my coach early in the year, and we tossed the idea around. And then when it came up on late in the fall semester for the season, we decided that we were going to pull the trigger and have me redshirt last year.
Very interesting. So you are actually you're from Pennsylvania. What part of Pennsylvania are you from?
I'm from just down the road, 15 minutes away, Springfield.
So you went to LaSalle College High School, and you actually were not only just a golfer, you were a baseball player as well. What made you get golf and also baseball, and how did you kind of intertwine both of the sports in high school?
Well, I played baseball my whole life. I grew up playing since I was a kid, and that was always my favorite sport. I really never thought I was going to be playing golf in college until about junior, senior year of high school. And then my golf game took off a little bit, and I saw an opportunity to play a Division I sport.
That's great. What introduced you to golf? What was the big thing that made you want to take up golfing?
Well, I was a member at Sandy Run Country Club my whole life, and my parents have played golf for a good part of their lives. And they introduced me to the game when I was young. I started playing competitively, probably about going into my freshman year of high school, and went to try out for the team, made it, and just enjoyed playing it all summer.
That's great. And something I always found interesting about golf, they always kind of, golf and baseball, since you played both, you would know, does it really change the swing? Because I've heard stuff that if a guy's lefty in baseball, he may switch to righty playing golf, or does it really not matter?
The swing's definitely different the way the mechanics work, and it's on 2 different planes. But there's some similarities, definitely.
But does it would you think it affect your swing at all, like when you went from baseball to playing golf?
I would never play golf in baseball season in high school because I was afraid that the swing might throw it off a little bit because I know there are 2 different ways of approaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little bit different. It could affect one or the other.
So you mentioned your parents. I'm guessing they were a big influence and probably the biggest fans in golf and probably made you want to play and root you on still today?
Yeah, I always loved going out with my mom or my dad when I was young. Probably started going out and playing some holes around when I was about 12 and enjoyed the game, but only took it up seriously in high school.
That's great. So probably to get back to the team now. So you have 3 more tournaments, I believe, in the fall season. Next being the Temple Invitational this weekend, Saturday, October 11th. So what are you guys looking to do for this rest of the year? What are your goals as a player and also as a team?
Goals as a player to just go out and play as best as I can, see if I can shoot a couple rounds under par there. And as a team, just keep it rolling. We got guys playing good right now, and we think we could make some noise at this Big 5 tournament. And
so, as the fall season comes to a close, what do you guys do in the colder months? How do you practice still when it's wintertime?
We're looking to get an indoor hitting facility, which would be great. That would be awesome for our swing. And get in the weight room, lift a little bit, see if we get a little stronger, and just kind of work on our swings a little bit.
So does that? So I'm guessing lifting. You guys have to do that a lot. Is that something you guys do? Like, what is your practice regimen? I would say as a team.
During the season, we haven't lifted because if you start out lifting, maybe get you a little stiff. But when the season's over, we'll go lift. Practice, we just go to our home course, hit some balls on the range, work on short game, and then play holes if it sets up that way that day.
It sounds great. I just want to thank you so much for joining us here today on the sidelines. Good luck the rest of the way, you and your teammates, and looking forward to watching you, or at least hearing about you, and hopefully you do good for the rest of the fall season.
Yep.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.
No problem. So that does it here on the sidelines. I'm Tom McIntyre. I want to thank PJ Acerno so much for joining us here today, and yeah, catch us next time on SportsLine. Thank you.
Thanks for the insight, Tommy. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, Eddie Dunn joins us for Exploring Headlines. Stick around.
For LTV News.
I'm Corey Meredith. I'm reporter Madison Elliott.
Hello, I'm Brendan Rigney here.
And welcome to LTV News. Let's step back and take a look at the world. I'm here to tell you what's a buzz in Philadelphia.
Let's check it out.
It's an eclectic mix. I don't think that this tax is the way to do it.
We actually have a little celebration going on, and
I think it's a step in the right direction. I'm sitting down with my friend and fellow colleague for LaSalle TV, Jacob Smolinski.
We've got Miss Pinup, we've got Mr. Classy Designer.
Polarizing news reporter and political commentator Chris Matthews.
September 28th was a most auspicious day for the 52nd annual Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Finagling his way back into her life is Brendan Rigney, LTV charmer.
Alongside of me, SGA president and dear friend, Muffy Torres.
Groovy. Now let's talk fashion.
Reporter Steve Graham had the opportunity to cover the event.
The talent is evidently here.
Big plans.
So, I don't know, some really great things going on. Welcome back. Here to join us now for this week's Exploring Headlines, please welcome Eddie Dunn of LaSalle's favorite game show, Q&A.
Thanks, Jake. Let's get to it. Another member of the field hockey team has been recognized by the A10 Conference. Senior midfielder Maddie Tettelbach was named Atlantic 10 Player of the Week after her stellar weekend on the field. The captain was prominent in the Explorers' historic win over Richmond on October 5th, scoring the first of 2 goals to the game at 1 and the second within the final 3 minutes to win it for the Blue and Gold. Tettelbach is the 3rd Explorer to be named Player of the Week for the conference in field hockey this season. Switching from offense to defense, field hockey goalkeeper Rachel Hartman's outstanding performances against VCU and Richmond have earned her Defender of the Week on philafieldhockey.com. Hartman had 11 saves versus the top-ranked Richmond Spiders and 6 against the Rams. She adds these 17 saves from these games to her already smashing save percentage of .846, which is 2nd in the nation. Let's see if she, Maddie Tettelbach and company, can keep up the good work. No surprises here, senior Kelsey Haycock of the women's soccer team was named A10 Player of the Week once more. With an impressive 4 goals this past week, Haycock has helped put the Explorers at the top of the A10 conference standings. After 2 interconference victories, the veteran star scored 2 goals apiece against George Washington and VCU. Haycock has now been named A10 Player of the Week 9 times in her remarkable career. As if that honor weren't enough, Haycock has been recognized as the ECAC Co-Offensive Player of the Week for her performances against George Washington and VCU, and was also named to the National Team of the Week by Top Drawer Soccer, a site that tracks everything soccer from college to the World Cup. We certainly hope to see Kelsey's name on this site more and more in the future. Basketball fans, the wait for LaSalle basketball action is beginning to draw to a close. October 5th and 6th marks the return of basketball as the women's and men's teams return to practice for the first time since the spring. The ladies and head coach Jeff Williams return to the Gola Arena on the 5th. The team has high hopes for this season after making a brief but bright run in the postseason and having all-star Kristen Lee return this year after being injured at the beginning of last season. The following day, Coach Giannini and his boys in the blue hit the courts. Steve Zach and Jarrell Wright are looked to in leading the charge back into the national spotlight after a so-so season last year.
Eddie, thank you for coming on. You just make the SportsLine broadcast just even brighter every time you
Thanks, Jake.
But no, okay, that last story though. Basketball. I don't know about you. How psyched are you now for this season?
I'm pretty excited for the season.
I'm a little nervous. I saw Cleon Roberts walking around the townhouses with a little crutch.
That's
Heard it first here.
Yeah, that's a little dicey. But no, I know it's gonna be a good season.
I think so. Especially Rohan.
Yes, Rohan.
SportsLine supports Rohan.
All right. And now that we've covered the past, let's look to the future. Tim Durrani makes his SportsLine debut as he brings us this week's marquee matchup. Take it away, Tim.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Marquee Matchup. I'm Tim Durrani, and I'm here to tell you which upcoming LaSalle game is going to be the highlight of this week. This coming week is stacked full of Atlantic 10 Conference games, but the most exciting is coming to us from McCarthy Stadium. The women's soccer team is going up against Fordham University on Saturday at 1 o'clock here at McCarthy Stadium. Fordham is going into Saturday's game with an overall record of 6 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. That tie coming from their most previous outing this past Saturday where they tied fellow conference opponent George Washington 1-1. Despite tying their last game, look for Fordham to come out ready to play on Saturday. The Explorers, on the other hand, stand at an overall record of 6 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties, currently undefeated in the Atlantic 10. With a conference record of 2-0, for the Explorers to maintain undefeated within the conference, they will need big plays from key players. Kelsey Haycock, senior forward for the Explorers, has had a great start to her season. Topping the team rankings in goals this season with 10, Haycock is a heavy part of their offensive production. Not only is she a great offensive weapon, but Haycock is also a team player. The senior has started in every game for the Explorers this year, tallying in 23 points thus far. To get the offense going productively, the Explorers have to find ways to deliver Haycock the ball. Another player for the Explorers that is a key component to the game is keeper Jessica Wiggins. Wiggins enters the game with 67 saves and a save percentage of .807, letting up an average of 1.44 goals a game and thus far having 3 shutouts of the season. Lately, Wiggins has been lights out, being a key factor in the Explorers' current 2-game win streak, allowing just 1 goal in the past 2 games. Wiggins needs to be consistent Saturday, making the smart plays with the ball and key positioning. If she executes her game plan, the Explorers likely could receive their 3rd consecutive win. Now that we've touched on some individuals, let's see what aspects of play the team needs in order to secure the victory. In order for the Explorers to walk away from Saturday's matchup against Fordham victorious, they will need to cover key tactics. First, as said earlier, they must find ways to deliver Haycock the ball. She leads the team in scoring and points. If you find her the ball, she has the ability to find ways to score. Also, the Explorers must find ways to slow down Fordham in the second half. Fordham this season has produced most of their scoring from the second half of games. They have twice as many goals this season in the second half than they do in the first. The Explorers must be able to play a full 90 minutes of soccer to secure a win. Fordham is not a team to give up on as they find ways to top the score in the back end of games. Well, that does it for this week's marquee matchup. Don't forget to head over to McCarthy Stadium on Saturday at 1 o'clock to watch this highly anticipated conference matchup. For SportsLine, I'm Tim Durrani. Go Explorers.
Data rates do apply. Well, that just about wraps it up for this week. If you can't make it out to see this week's marquee matchup, be sure to tune into our coverage next week. And if you can't keep up with that, keep up with us on Twitter and as we post sports updates on SportsLine LTV.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions about the show on either website.
For Jake, Eddie, and our entire SportsLine team, I'm Cody Barr, and we'll see you at the game.